but have not love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. Nor is it rude nor self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. But where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. For now we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when perfection comes, the imperfect disappears. When I was a child, I talked like a child, thought like a child, and reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put my childish ways behind me. Now we see but a poor reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part. Then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. And now these three remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. Christmas is almost upon us. For most, I think it's a season of joy and love. And yet for those who are the friends and the family of Mary Jane Davis, there is a shadow that has cast over that joy this year. I think in my imagination, or in my mind's eye, I think about the Christmas tree in the Davis home, and I imagine some of the gifts that might have already been wrapped and put under that tree that would include Mary Jane's name. I'm sure there are other gifts that are in closets or in drawers that have never been wrapped, and nor will they be. Like many gifts, I'm sure that these were carefully selected and intended with love. Christmas has come to mean the giving and receiving of gifts. And for us, I believe it's an appropriate time to consider the many gifts that we have received through the life of Mary Jane Davis. One of the gifts that you traditionally find under a Christmas tree is an electric train. While all the other gifts sit still in their boxes, the electric train clackety-clacks around the base of the tree. That's the kind of gift that Mary Jane would give, since one of the gifts that made her so special was the seemingly limitless energy she brought to all her relationships. Mary Jane brought that gift of activity to her family. As a wife, Mary Jane could be counted upon to do her part and then some. I have no doubt that Keith didn't have to ask her twice for help, and that he didn't have to encourage her to get out of a sedentary mindset when she'd fallen into one, because she had. More likely or not, it would be advisable for Keith probably to keep a smile on his face than to hold on for dear life. For as a mother, Mary Jane encouraged and sometimes, I think, corralled her children into so many activities that she was always seemed to be going somewhere and doing something. Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, 4-H, or whatever. Mary Jane was there to support and to help her children. Steve mentioned the long gravel road from the road up to the farm, and how you could always pick out his mother by the plumes of smoke or dust that had come up behind her. She zipped up to the house and she zipped back to the road to where, taking somebody somewhere, sometime. There was always the fruit of her garden and her flowers. There was the products of her sewing and her cooking and her other projects. All of these she shared with others, and they were gifts that flowed out of the energy that she had. Maybe it's because she was the oldest of 4 sisters and grew up helping her mother and keeping her sisters in line, whether they needed to be kept in line or not. Maybe it was because Mary Jane was such an avid student of life that she always expected some new revelation just around the corner, some pleasant surprise. In any case, Mary Jane had the gift of energy, and she shared that with them. Maybe if we looked under that tree, we might find a pair of firm, comfortable white shoes, the kind that nurses wear. For Mary Jane gave the gift of comfort and healing to so many people during her career as a registered nurse. She was always juggling her career with her family, trying to find a way to meet the needs of both, working at nights at sometimes in order to be with her children, sometimes working during the days to do the same. I sense that for her it was more than a job, it was a chance to use her training and her skills and her desire to make a difference in the lives of other people. She helped deliver a lot of babies as an OB nurse. But maybe nothing describes her better than the baby she helped bring into the world during the blizzard of 1978. In the little town of Mulberry, where a doctor couldn't be located and this baby needed to be delivered, and the paramedics and the ambulance crew called Mary Jane, and she did what she could to bring that new life into the world. If you asked her about it and tried to make a big deal about it, she would shush you and say that it wasn't much. But I think it says something about Mary Jane, and the way that she freely gave of that gift of healing, the desire she had to help bring new life into this world. One of the larger packages you might see, maybe alongside the tree rather than under it, would be a blackboard, and some chalk, an eraser, I think maybe a bottle of aspirin. Because one of the gifts that Mary Jane gave to her community was the term she served on the school board. She served on the school board at a very critical time for the Mulberry community, when consolidation was just getting underway and the Clinton Prairie School was being built. Mary Jane felt like she had something to add. She felt like she had a reasoned opinion that she could share, and evidently other people thought so as well, since she was elected to that post. See, her community was her home. It was the place where she was to raise her family. And if there was some way that she could use her leadership to make that a better place, then she was willing and able to do so. If you were to walk over on the mantle and look into the stocking, I think one of the things you'd find there would be one of those name tags that you see all the time that you put on your shirt, your coat. It says, "Hello, my name is Mary Jane." In our family, we would say that Mary Jane was endowed with the gift of gab. She never met anybody who stayed a stranger to her for very long. First time I met her was in the hospital, and she was having great difficulty breathing. She was just having a really hard time, and she was tired, and she was worn out from getting some treatments for her lungs. And yet it wasn't 5 minutes before she was commenting on a picture of my twins that she had got me to take out of my wallet. And I had a sense that she could go on for much longer as we talked. And here was a new friend, her new pastor that she had discovered in just a few minutes. I understand that was typical of Mary Jane. That was the kind of person she was. Open and giving and friendly. Betty Jane's friends would come to the house and maybe just a couple times share a meal there, and pretty soon they're corresponding with her mother, sending her pictures, and as if they'd known each other on their own for years. She just had that gift, putting other people at ease, getting to know them and sharing herself with them. Maybe a gift we would find under that tree, maybe wrapped in shiny paper with bow, would be an almanac for maybe 1995, because Mary Jane was always looking toward the future. She always wanted to stay fresh, and she wanted to stay knowledgeable, whether we're talking about trends in nursing, or how to raise a family, or things that her children might need. She was excited about what the future might hold. She wanted to make sure that she wasn't caught unaware when the future became the present. You might even find an unusual object under that tree. You might find a little tube of Bengay. For the Charlie horse she must have had in her leg after pumping that imaginary brake, as she taught Jason, her grandson, above and beyond the call of her grandmother's duty, how to drive a car. I think you would find under that tree a portrait, a family portrait that was beautifully framed, and in that picture would be four sisters, because she had a lot of pride and a lot of love for those sisters. I know that you'd find a Bible under that tree, a nice new leather Bible